Now, getting back more because obviously flow underpins your book, but the other aspect of your book is that, hey, this stuff doesn't atrophy as you get old. It's illusory, like we normally think. If you just sit there and if you want to fight it, it's going to absolutely, your brain. Because I always think, okay, brain elasticity goes down, and you just sort of feel.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't.
Right,
so,
right, and that's, I think, we are disproving that crap.
But we actually gain a whole bunch of cognitive abilities in our 50s. That's the whole crazy thing. There are certain things in the brain that decline over time, and they fall into a series of different categories. There's stuff that declines over time, and there's nothing we can do about it. And we wish we could, like white matter. Size decreases over time, and there's a bunch of problems that may have to do with bone density. The cutting edge of brain health is bone health, because the bones are like the mineral factory for the body. All your nutrients, all your minerals are stored in your bone, and the brain runs on calcium, among many other things, which is stored in the bone. So if bone density goes down over time, that could be a lot of the cognitive stuff. But as a general rule, there's stuff that's there's a few things that go down over time, and there's not much we can do about it. But most everything else is a use it or lose it skill. Then there's a bunch of stuff that we used to think declined over time, but we now know it's trainable in like weird ways. I'll give you a great example. I do a lot of work with Dr. Adam Ghazali. He's a neuroscientist at University of California, San Francisco. He's brilliant. And so one of the things that goes down in older people is task switching, the ability to go from task to task, right? They get lost and confused. And he was on the cover of Nature, the top science journal in the world 5 years ago, for a video game that he designed. And it's the first video game that's been approved by the FDA to treat disease, and it treats cognitive decline in older adults, and it works specifically on task switching. And you can literally like play this video game 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week for about 6 weeks, and it will reset your brain from task switching and a couple other things from a 60-year-old to a 20-year-old. So there's stuff where we've got like really cutting edge stuff for it. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff we were just wrong about. And there's all these superpowers that come online in our 50s. Some of it's genetic. Certain genes only activate with experience. Some of it is the two halves of the brain start working together really well in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Keeps going. And some of it is the brain starts to utilize under recruited regions. So like any open space, the brain says, oh, you're 50 years old. We can start colonizing this. You're not going to need it for that. And we can use it for this. And as a result, in our 50s, we get access to new levels of intelligence. Like 3 new thinking styles start to come online that are really critical. Relativistic thinking, systems thinking. So big picture thinking starts to really increase in our 50s. Empathy goes up. Wisdom goes up. Creativity, including divergent thinking. Like the hardest aspect of creativity to train is like the outside the box, wild, disparate connections between ideas. And it naturally starts to increase in our 50s. So like the old idea, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That actually goes back to Freud. Freud said old people are no longer educable. That's literally where that dates to. But it turns out old dogs are actually better at learning a whole bunch of different kinds of tricks than younger dogs. Like you've just got more brain power. So yeah, there's some stuff that like goes away, but if you were training the brain right and the body right, the stuff that really starts to come online is kind of amazing, and we're not utilizing it because we've got all these mistaken assumptions about what it means to be in the second half of our life.